Welcome back, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. Today I'm going to break down one of my favorite live performances by Jeff Beck. It's his performance in 2010 at the live and exclusive at the Grammy Museum of his song Brush with the Blues. The song originally appeared on his 1999 record Who Else? That's one of the studio albums he'd made. And he co-wrote it with his co-producer on that record, English keyboardist and producer Tony Hymas. The two of them wrote it. There used to be a video of this performance online on YouTube, and that's where I first came across the song years ago and started learning it, and then it got taken down at some point. So I haven't been able to find the video again. I should have screen recorded it when I had it, but I didn't. So at any rate, I'm just going off of the live audio here. You can still buy that whole performance in CD version. His band on this record is one of his killer bands, man. Jason Rebello on keyboards, as he often has on keyboards. Rhonda Smith, one of his go-to kick-ass female bass players, her and Tal Wilkenfeld. But Rhonda's playing on this track. And instead of any Caliuto, which he uses a lot. Narada Michael Walden played drums on this track. This lesson will require a whammy bar, and I have a Jeff Beck 2014 Just American Strat signature version that I bought in 2015 off of eBay for a real good deal. I got it for about $1,200. I think they list for around $1,800 now. But actually, I just replaced the block it came with a buddy of mine, Brian Facchino, did it for me. Thanks, Brian. With a Callahan block. But I've got the 3 springs set up, kind of going to the center there, as you can tell. And I have it set up to where you go a half step on the little E, whole step on the B string, and a minor third on the G string. I've heard recently somewhere that, or read it somewhere, that Beck actually has his set up where he can go a major third. He goes all the way up there on the G string, which means he can go a whole step on the little E string instead of a half step. He can go all the way up a whole step. But I was able to kind of halfway cop most of the licks on this first half of this track that you guys just heard me do there with the way I have it set up. So there is a lick or two on the last half of this song that basically sounds like he may be going to a whole step on his little E string. This is just a blues song. It's like a B minor chord to a D and A in the bass. I'm sorry. So it goes B minor to a D chord with A in the bass, then some version of an E7. Then it does a turnaround on some of the verses. The first couple of verses and the real long verses, guys, has this turnaround that goes to F sharp 7. And you'll hear Jason Rebello hitting some pretty interesting alternate chords on that 7 chord occasion, like a sharp 5 or sharp 5, sharp 9. Then after that F sharp 7 chord, it goes back to the B minor chord, then a B7 chord. Then a very interesting chord to end it out with, which is a C chord over a B in the bass. And I'm actually playing up here, I've got the C chord like this, but instead of that C note on the A string, I'm doing a B chord back here at the 7th fret. And that's because that's what Beck's doing. The few times I got to look at the video and see where he was playing it at. But you can play it down there too. And occasionally Jason Rebello, when he's doing that, going to that B7 chord, you'll hear him play a B7 flat 5, which I'm doing a B7 there on the 2nd fret, just like an A7. But if you take that 5 down, flat it, and then go to that C chord over a B bass, really lush, kind of jazzy chords for a blues song, but it works really well, as you can tell. So that's the chords, and I may have these chords up in a PDF or a tablature or something on my website, chuckjonesmusic.com. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers by Christmas, and I think I might make it. I'm up to almost 800 now, so you guys help me out and share this video if you've a mind to, and please, at any rate, if you're not already a subscriber, subscribe yourself and like the video, comment, and please hit that notification bell so you'll find out when I get another video put up every time. So what I'm going to do is go back and forth from my performance of the song to this lesson. So here we go. It starts out like this right here. Okay, so what's going on there so far, y'all, is basically working out of this 7th fret with a pentatonic scale. And a lot of times he's using a pentatonic blues, but a lot of it's out of that same pentatonic fingering in B at the 7th fret there. So he's starting out here on the A string, D string, G string on the 7th fret. He just chokes that up, kind of pulls it, stretches it up to that minor third, then chokes it. Then, similar lick, and there he's, it's the first time he's using the whammy on it, and he's doing the A string 9th of D string 7th, A string 9th to the, and when he hits that G string on the 7th fret there, he's dipping the bar before he strikes the note. But just barely, it's not like a dive or anything. That's one of Jeff Beck's favorite whammy licks. He does that quite a bit. He does the dip, then he comes out of the, it's like a, kind of like Dorian mode around that pentatonic, 7th fret pentatonic position there. Adding like the, tonic 7 flat 7. So it's a G string 7th 6th pull off. Then he picks a lot of these with his thumb, guys. So 9th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret. Then he hits that 9th fret on the A string, slides up 2 frets and chokes it. When he does that, he's basically sliding into the bottom of this E chord, which is the middle of a G, E position, if you guys have been watching my caged video. So right there. Then actually what he's doing here is like, it's an E6 chord. So he's using that interval of a 6 to do the G string 6th fret, A string 7th fret, picks the G string, A string, G string, slides the whole thing down a half step. Then he goes down a whole step, that same 6th interval to the 3rd fret, but adds his ring finger on the D string 5th fret. So he's adding that 3rd into the chord too. So what he winds up with there, guys, is just like an E chord with a flat 7 in the bass. So okay, let's go on and listen to what comes next. Okay, right there, he's doing the same basic lick, another variation, just like he does a little hammer on the A string this time, 7th to the 9th fret. When he gets to that G string there, the G string, the 7th fret, shakes the whammy a little bit, and then at the end of it, he's using the whammy bar to dive that note down a minor 3rd. And then choking it when he gets there. So then do a hammer on again. When he gets to that D 9th fret, he goes he basically dives it a whole step and back up. Hits that G string 7th fret again, kind of shakes it in. Then he just kind of slides down a minor 3rd to that D note. Then, all right, so what's happening here, guys, is whereas on the first part of this verse we were doing that lick over the leading into the E chord out of the 7th fret B Dorian blues scale. Here we're going down to the 4th fret B Dorian. Starting on the G string, 4th fret, up to the 6th fret, 7th fret, B string, 5th fret, back to the 6th fret G string, 7th fret, and with the pinky, then back to the 4th fret with the index finger, and hit that 3 times. So you get, then hit that pinky on the G string, then the ring finger on the D string 6th fret, then G string on the 4th. Kind of lets those two ring. Then remember that 6th slide lick we did at the end of the last lick. Here we're just going to start at the same place at the 6th fret with index on the 6th, middle on the 7th of the G and the A strings respectively. And then what I'm doing here when I do this lick, y'all, is I'm actually, you can see I'm I'm striking 3 strings with my thumb, but I'm actually muting the D string with my middle finger. And instead of doing that 3rd fret slide and adding that D string note in the middle of the 3rd of the chord, I'm just starting here at the 6th fret. Slide the 6th interval down 1 fret, and then slide it down another fret and pick it again. So it's a... Then... Okay, so he's starting off there, guys. Getting ready to go to that F sharp 7, coming out of that E7. Now we're kind of working out of its 2nd fret pentatonic minor position, number 1. So he's been in that 4th fret G string up, hitting the G string 2nd fret, then the D string 4th fret, and then he's doing a little dance on the, I like to call it, on the G string. So he's pulling that G string 2nd fret up to kind of the from minor to the major 3rd, hitting the 4th fret G string, bending it up, whole step, back down, then that again, the G string 2nd. Then he's using that D string 4th fret, but using the whammy bar to dive it down a whole step and just kind of choking it down there. Then it comes back up here. That's when the chords go to this B to the B7, then to the C over B. He's basically hitting the D string 9th fret, G string 9th fret, then just very slowly bringing it down. He's bending it up a half step. a whole step when he hits it. Then he bends it, he pulls it back down. Then G7, D9, G7, G9, G7. Then he hits a D9 again. That's the B minor chord. Then there he's hitting a B7, just the 3rd and the 5th of it. G string 8th fret, 7th fret of the B string, back to the G string. Then he hits the 7th fret D string, that's flat 7, and then picks the top 2 notes of that chord, which is the G string and the B string. Then he hits that C chord over a B bass. And then, what happens then? Okay, so this is when he's going into the E chord. After it goes to that F sharp chord, it goes back to that E7 chord up. 2, 3. He's hitting the big E string 7th fret, then bending that 5th fret E string up to that same B note. It's an A note, but he's bending all the way up. Then hits the E open, then G 3rd. Then E open again. Then he's basically doing this lick right here. And he's using his thumb, I believe, the whole time. Doing that where you slide the B string up to the E note. Still playing the E open with the B string 3rd fret. Basically, this is just coming out of the open E pentatonics minor scale, guys. So let's slide that up, B string 3rd, 5th fret, back to 3rd, B E string open, that little 3, 2, 1. Then he slides back up to the 3, 2, then 2 fret, 2nd fret open on D string. So hangs out on that third fret of the E string there, which is a G note, bending it up 3 times, then hits that open E and just kind of chokes it. That's the end of the first verse. Verse 2, here we go. All right, here's what he's doing here, guys. Back to the same basic lick. He's basically, when he gets to that 7th fret G string, he's using the whammy bar to just lift it up a whole step and come right back. That's the first part. And then he just plays the same lick, but just hangs and shakes that G string. Then another variation on that E7 chord lick here. Instead of just doing that like he did the first time, this time there's a little more of a dance to it. So he's basically, it starts out the same, pulling that off, G string, pulling off 7 to 6, then walking that down on the D string, 9, 8, 7. Then he's walking up on the A strings, 9, 10, 11. So it's, then he's hitting the D string, the G string in that chord. It shakes the whammy bar a little bit. Then he does this real cool 6th lick on that E chord. Basically, he's starting at the 12th fret there, and it's if you had an E formation E chord there, like a bar chord, E, but this just this much of it. And actually just the first 3 strings, he's doing, it's like that E chord, but add your ring finger on the 14th fret to get the 6th note. So you got, he dips the bar before he plays it. So dips into that chord from almost a half step below, but not quite. Then he hits it a couple more times. Dips again, then he goes down a half step, same chord, then pulls up and back down. So see what he does next. All right, here we go. This is the first time he goes up way up high to this same B pentatonic. We're doing it the 7th fret. Now he's going all the way up here to the 19th fret, y'all. He's basically still working out of this same pentatonic scale at the 19th fret. He's basically hitting that, A string, 21st fret. This is a 22 fret neck I have here. So then 20th, then 19th, D string, 20 on the D string again, then G string, 19th. So you're going to, and you got to kind of have your whammy bar in your hand when you do this. For that note right there, hits that 3 times on the G string. Shakes it. After the 3 times, goes back to the ring finger on the D string. So it's the whole thing is. Tricky. Then lets the band go by a little bit. There's that real cool keyboard like that thing, and then he goes similar lick. Now that's where he goes up on the whammy bar there, and he starts at the same 21st fret on the A string, goes to the D string, 19, 21, hits that twice on the G string, 19th fret, back to the D string, then so he's basically hitting the D string and the G string out of that E9 chord. Then, after you go back and hit the D string and the G string again, then you down here with your index finger, and then hit that note with your middle finger. 3 times on the D string, 1 on the G, and then back down to the D. And then once you have those 2 notes ringing, you shake the whammy, and then you hit them again. And you go up a whole step. A whole step on the G string, but it turns out to be a half step on the D string, which actually works. Okay, now we're down to one of the first, what I call a fiery lick that he does here. Here we go. So I'm just going to break that down real quick. So then he winds up on that F sharp now. Still an octave up on the neck, guys. Now we're at the 14th fret out of the F sharp pentatonic minor scale. So you're stretching that B string, 17th fret up to the same note as the 14th fret of the E string. So a little shake on it when you stretch it the first time. You can do it with your finger or your vibrato arm. I'm not sure which he's using to tell you the truth, but and hit that E string. Then when you go back and stretch it, really hit the whammy bar. So, and then you pull that note off, kind of diving down with your bend, then pulling it off from the 17th to the 14th fret. Then he does this little hammer on pull off, hit the 17th fret B string, then hammer on pull off from the 14th to the 17th. Then the G string 16th fret back to the B string 14th. Then stretch that blue note up. Then what he's doing there, going back to the top note of that minor pentatonic scale, and I am using a pinky there, and basically bending it down a whole step. I'm sorry, half step. So you're bending it down to that note, but you're playing it here still. So it's, then you, really cool way to get down that, instead of, he's going, and then you play that, put that double bar down, double string bar down with your index finger. So play this lick here. E string 14th in, 17th B string, 14th B string then, 16th G string, then kind of pull that note up a little bit, 14th on the G string. So then the D string, 16, 14. Then he's got a double bar there to the A string. Instead of doing what I would normally do, something like actually none of this is anything I would normally do, y'all, but you get the point. He goes from that note to that note, and then slides it down on the A string. Then coming out of that lick, getting out of this verse, he's back here to the 7th fret again, actually 9th fret on the G string, but you're out of this 7th fret pentatonic B scale again. He hits that, he has that note stretched up a whole step. Lets it down real slow, shakes a little bit, then a little variation on this lick he did on the first verse. So 7th fret on the G string, then 8th fret to the 9th, back to the 8th. Then, again, he hits the flat 7, the 7th fret of the D string, to the 8th fret. This is the B7. 8th fret of the G string. Then hits that C chord over B in the bass again. So after you hit that B chord, it's like a C chord, with a B in the bass. Just like if you had that G formation, brought the bass note down one half step. It's a C chord with a B in the bass. Then he goes back here by the bridge and 4 times slow on that B note, then fast 4 times. And then the band hits the low E, and you're into the E chord then. And at that point, though, Beck goes up here to these same chords he played at the end of the last one, but a little bit different pattern here. So basically, he does bend into that first one again. This is the 6th chord again at the 12th fret. Just a basic E chord, but just the top 3 strings with that 14th on the B string, 14th fret on the B string with your ring finger. So hit it once, bending into it with the whammy bar. Hit it again, then down a half step and hit it. Bend into it on the 10th fret. 11th fret again, and then strike it at the 10th fret and choke it. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. This was part 1 of Jeff Beck, Brush with the Blues, live and exclusive at the Grammy Museum from 2010, a performance. So be sure to stay tuned for part 2. That's where the really crazy licks happen, and that's coming up next real soon. Once again, be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, comment, hit the notification bell. Be sure to check out chuckjonesmusic.com for accompanying diagrams to this lesson. And stay tuned for part 2. It'll be coming up next. Appreciate it, y'all. See you next time.